Well, hello and welcome to all of you. I am Brian Ward, and Pastor Ben is not with us right now. Just making sure my mic is on here. But it is a happy Thursday to everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Pastor Ben actually went off to Illinois, to Chicago area, and he is meeting with our Greater Synod. So that is part of our greater church that we are a part of, and is a part of a lot of different activity. And I know the actual council that he's a part of hasn't actually begun yet, but he did want to send in an update. So if we want to jump to that update now, if you can, just go to that, just a short clip, just to see where he's at.
Well, hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I did make it to Chicago yesterday with lots of bumps and turbulence, but I got here and just about ready to kick off the meetings and wanted to stop in for just a moment. Nothing really new to report because I just got settled and caught up on my reading for all the meetings. And stay tuned, and away we go. But Pastor Brian, I hope all is well there and everybody else. So take care. God bless you, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Well, how about that? Very cool. So we'll hear more about how it all went when he gets back this Sunday, but it'll be after worship services this Sunday. So we'll keep him in prayer there. But seeing things in a new way and around a new group of people, that's new perspective. And actually, for me, had the opportunity just this past weekend, had a little bit longer weekend with the kids, and we were able to get away to Zion National Park, and it was a much needed time for me, for my family, to open ourselves up to a new perspective, seeing something deeper and bigger. And if you haven't been to that area near Springdale, Utah, or into the park itself, I mean, just these towering, majestic cliffs. And then if you've ever gone hiking into it, and my 6-year-old is really getting into hiking now, which I love to see. And so getting up and climbing on all of these things, but just the sense of seeing something greater and being there in November, and the leaves are changing up there in November, and it's just a wonderful time to be in there, a wonderful perspective change. And I think we all need that at times. I think we all need a space to be able to look at the world a little differently, see things a little differently, and open our hearts up in a new way. And so that with that perspective shift, it's something that, as I was considering, we're going back to a song that we shared at 11 o'clock, I believe. And this song actually, to me, it puts, so often in the United States, we have this time of Halloween, and we emphasize the scary. And then in other cultures, they have this Dia de los Muertos, which takes a very different perspective, looking at it as a time of remembrance and a beautiful moment of looking at the past. And so I want to take a look at this song now that we shared last weekend at 11 o'clock.
Remember me. Oh, I have to say goodbye. Remember me. Don't let it make you cry. For even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me. Though I have to travel far, remember me. Each time you hear a sad guitar, and know that I am with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Remember me. Recuérdame, si en tu mente vivo estoy. Recuérdame, mis sueños yo te doy, te llevo en will soon be gone. Remember me, and let the love we have live on. And know that I am with you, the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Recuérdame.
Remember Me, and a beautiful rendition there by Annabelle from our praise team, and so thankful that she was able to offer that in this time, and it is such an important perspective, and a beautiful perspective of what it means to look back and think back on loved ones. And as I considered that, I wanted to share briefly today, there are a number of moments throughout the Gospels where Jesus is calling us to remember, and where the disciples are remembering, and what it means to look upon these times, and what it means to remember. And it can happen in good ways, and it can happen in bad ways too. Like what we choose to remember, what we choose to hold on to. I mean, we can see that as our baggage, what we're carrying along with us. What are we choosing to remember in our lives? And in Matthew chapter 26, this is a time after Jesus has been taken away to the cross. He'll eventually be killed. And Peter remembers at this time, and that word remember comes up. And he remembers the words that Jesus had spoken: before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. And so he went outside and wept bitterly. And he's holding on to that. He's remembering how badly he's messed up, how badly he's broken, and what a wreck he is in the world around him. And it strikes me because Jesus never told him to be ashamed of this. Jesus never told him, you should be ashamed of yourself, Peter, because I know you let me down. Jesus said, this is the truth of it. What are you going to do with that? How are you going to... Jesus was looking for a way for Peter to find new life out of that, and Jesus would eventually give that to him. But what Peter decides to do is hold on to all his imperfections, and he remembers the brokenness, and it breaks him. I mean, the imagery that you have there of going out and weeping bitterly and just abandoning Jesus at that point. He's no longer trying to follow Jesus a little bit. He's just a broken person. He's carrying more than he can bear, and he's a wreck. And before long, according to the Gospel of John, he winds up leaving that space and going back to being a fisherman before Jesus can call him back and renew him and find that new place and give him an opportunity to say, hey, no, there's life after this. But he's holding on to the brokenness. He's remembering what went wrong. And it's not what Jesus had told him to do. In fact, when, that very night, when Jesus was about to be betrayed, what Jesus told him in Luke chapter 22 is taking bread, breaking it, giving it to them, saying, this is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Not saying, you got to hold all of this, Peter. He's saying, no, this is all given so that you could remember all of this, all the good, all the beautiful things. Hold on to that. Remember what is good, what is wonderful. Do this in remembrance of me. And another beautiful passage from the Gospel of Luke in chapter 23, when Jesus is on the cross. And this time it's one of these other criminals who are crucified on the cross. And the criminal says to Jesus, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. calling him to remember, to take a look and to see the world differently, to remember this moment and to hold on to that. And Jesus says, you're going to be with me in paradise. I always remember you. I always hold on to you. And so even when we're holding on to the wrong things, that Christ remembers us. And I love that imagery. It really comes out, to me at least it does, in that little song from the Disney movie Coco, where it's bringing this touching moment of here are these characters trying to remember one another, remember those who have passed on, remember the love that they shared, and don't hold on to all the pain. And sometimes we choose to do that. We choose to live into that kind of pain. And know that even if we do that, we have a Savior who chooses to love us, to remember us, to hold us, and to live in us. And finally, from Luke chapter 24, verse 6, the angels came and they come first to the women. And they say to the women, Jesus is not here. He's not in the grave. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee that he would rise again. And telling them, this is what we want you to hold on to. And I always see that as such a stark contrast. We often choose, like Peter, to remember all the wrong things. We remember the failures. We remember the worries or the reasons why we should doubt, why we should give up, why we should break and fall apart. We remember all of those moments. And over, God's not telling. Jesus never told Peter, you got to hold on to that. Once again, it's all about this sense of saying, remember that Christ would always be with you. That he would always come back. He would rise again, and he'd rise again for you and for each and every one of us. And to be able to live in that, to hold on to that, and to trust in that kind of love. I think that's the message of the Scriptures. That's the message that we all want to be able to share, and that's what we want to be able to guide us. And so today, that's my hope and prayer for all of you today, is just to be able to live in God's grace. Remember Christ's love is there for you. Remember we can hold on to that and live in that as well. And so with that, we have a busy weekend coming up. And Phil or Cole, I don't know if either of you know, are there still tickets available for the concert on Friday? I believe there's a few. So not a lot, but if you can make it this Friday, there is this concert with Philip Fortenberry, 67 years on the bench, which leads to quite the story in that moment. So excited for that one. But then, of course, we have all our weekend worship services beginning at 5 o'clock on Saturday, and then 8, 9:30, and 11. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Philip Fortenberry.